Go flat tracker. Go flat tracker. Go, go, go. Go flat tracker. Go flat tracker. Go, go, go. Go flat tracker. Go flat tracker. Go, go.
The Clever Flat Track Pod is brought to you by our partners 193 Racing, MX Inc., Classic Wheel Spokes and Otway Hydro Blasting, Rider Sport, Euroka Fencing, and of course, Clever Flat Track products. They support us, so go support them. Now on to the episode. Go Flat Tracker.
Okay, so here we are for another The Clever Flat Track Pod. I've got two blokes with me today. I've got Tom Norvey and it's Mick Pillinger. I've got your surname right there, Mick.
You have, mate. You actually have.
Oh, yeah,
it's
good.
a one-off. You've done well.
Yeah, I was meant to check that before I asked you, and I was playing around with a mountain bike, thought I fixed the flat tire, and now I have a flat tire, so that went well. So anyway, this one's all going to be about the AFTN, I believe. Mick is commentator, event manager, along with a lot of other hats. So I don't know heaps about you, Mick. We've met at AFTN. That's probably, I knew you from your own podcast, Talking Chatter, very, very lightly. I know you've had some great Australian superstars, rock stars of motorsport on there. So tell me about, just a bit about yourself. Did you race, that sort of stuff, and how you got involved with the AFT eventually?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me on. Firstly, I grew up in northern New South Wales in a little town called Ballina. We had a rich heritage of dirt track, as it was called, sort of back then. In Ballina, we had an oil track, and I used to live next door to a motorcycle store down there. It's now called Seaside Motorcycles, which a couple of the guys now race AFTN. So
cool.
I was really lucky. My dad used to, our friends were president of the club and secretary, and I don't know about the age of you guys, but we all, I'm guessing, grew up in a time where it was a bit easier to ride at tracks and stuff. You could go on a week, there was no permits or anything. So Dad would go out on the slasher of a Tuesday or Wednesday, for instance. My best friend, who's still my best friend to these days, and I would just go and cut laps of the flat track. We were talking 4 years old to about 6, 7, 8 sort of thing. So from Pee-wees to XRs for me. And that was the foundation. I never learnt to jump. I still don't know how to jump. It was just flat track, and I absolutely loved it from day one. And then moved into Queensland. Didn't have a bike for a while, but always was around it, part of it. And then as soon as you start earning money, and I became an adult, I went and bought a CR250 from Ballina, a 96 model, which I still own. And went back racing flat track, and Maryborough, Kempsey, Ballina, they were the sort of homes for me because I'm based in Brisbane, and I was never any good at it, but just love it. It is, for me, it's the foundation of motorsport that everyone sort of needs to do. You see a lot of the motocross, supercross guys, you look at Chad Reed, it's came from it. You look at some of the foundation skills that they've had and presented to the world. A lot of it's comes from flat track or dirt track. Yeah, it's in my core. I love it, and I want to see it grow.
Yeah, right. So you said you weren't that good at it. What was your best result? What's your proudest moment?
I don't know. Realistically, results wise in flat track was never amazing. I think I got a couple of 4th places or something up at Maryborough. They have a wide bay title up there. That's one of their really good meetings forever was the wide bay. Might have got a couple of 3rd or 4ths in a heat. Once I got into road racing, it went a bit better. I got 2nd in Queensland Super Twins Championship in 2016. So that was my best result in racing ever. I actually got I got a prize, which is
pretty awesome.
After 2016, you're talking 28 years at that point. It had only just been outlay. So to get a prize was pretty damn amazing. So, however, you've got to have everyone there. And I was just another person that was on the grid. And, my first meeting was a Cooper Classic 2000, senior meeting was a Cooper Classic. I think it was 2005. And it was Paul Kaslick's comeback. Mick Kirkness was just coming from being a junior, basically. And you had these two wild people going head to head. And here I am sitting on the grid in my first ever race thinking, who are these people? And Graham Smith. And it was a pretty wild time of flat track. And it was booming at that stage too, which was really cool.
Yeah, cool. All right, Tom, have you got anything on your shoulders? Because I promised not to steal your questions today. So do you want to get
No,
it off
mate.
before I start rambling or?
No, I'll let you ramble. It's easy to bounce off the back of yours.
All right. Well, before we get right into the AFT and stuff,
Yep.
um, what made you get into doing podcasting and
Yep.
commentating? Now you're commentating. Was this your first commentating gig or did you do stuff beforehand?
Yeah. So what happened, and I didn't answer this at the start. I've worked with Dave Maddock, promoter of AFTN. I worked with Dave now for about 8 or 9 years on different projects,
Yeah.
and we have a good working relationship. We work together many weeks of the year outside of flat track in our normal livelihoods. But Dave's a friend as well. Back in about 2019, 2020, we started talking about flat track, where it's at, how it could possibly grow, what could change, how to make it more like America. As America is such a fantastic representation of the sport, even though it has its holes, but it's a
Yeah.
good representation of the sport. But we started talking of it back, that's sort of 5 years ago now, and we've thrown around ideas. Dave really pushes things along, and we've seen that in the sport. And he wanted to keep continuing with that path, and we have. And my job is video production. So Monday to Friday, Saturday, Sunday is video production, film production. He said, do you want to be involved in marketing, media, content side of things? And I was like, yep, let's do it. And then we got to the track, and I'd been doing some commentating of road racing up here in the road race series, and some for ASBK as well for the Australian Superbike Championship. And I enjoy it, and I think I add something to it. And we've got a really good video team and a photo team. I don't need to be part of that of a weekend, but I like to be able to contribute that before the rounds and see where we can have a bit of a point of difference and grow the sport a little bit. You look at any of the global sports, content is such a huge part of it these days. And if you don't have a good content team around you, it becomes really weak. You still got to have good racing, but you still need to present it well. And I think the people we've got in there now are really good. My commentary, I'm very happy with what it is. It could always be better, but that's sort of where we're at now with it. And my working relationship with Dave has been fantastic. And we're running into 2025 now for our series, and it's grown to a point where people are talking about it more. There's more commercial opportunities from different partners looking to be in the sport, and globally people are looking at it. Like obviously 2024 having Dallas Daniels come back, Tom Drain coming here, Max Whale coming back. The eyeballs open up a little bit more, and even the year before, it's not commonly known, I guess, too much, but we were getting a fair few messages from different people from the US about how we could attend and stuff like that. So that's what we need to do. At the end of the day, to grow it more, you need to have more eyeballs on it, and I think we're achieving that. Always could be better, and there's so many different recipes at the track that could be better, but we're a very small team that's trying to make this happen, and it's getting there.
Yeah, awesome. Well, that's a good segue into the 2025 season.
Yep.
Obviously, as a small team, it takes time. Like I have had positive feedback from people as I talk to them about the series, and I've had a few negative things as well. My response is always, I treat the AFTN as a business.
Yep.
Any new business venture is going to grow. It takes time. Got to be patient and understanding as well. There's a whole lot of things that would have been first time challenges for I'm going to say Rise Activation because yes, Dave owns Rise Activation, but that's what the promoter umbrella is. And it's not necessarily like you're saying, there's actually a whole team there. It's not necessarily just Dave. Dave's a big part of that team. We don't want to take that away from him, obviously. But yeah, and I think this is to me not a problem, but it's always been something missing in Australian dirt track is that there's people don't and I might get slaughtered here, but it may be why it hasn't grown so much because people seem to be scared to tackle the business side of the sport.
Yes.
And some people I've even had comments, oh, he's growing the AFTN to sell it, and I hope he can. If he creates such a good product that someone wants to buy it, that's bloody fantastic. That's an awesome thing, because that person that's prepared to spend the money has got new ideas and probably a big bank balance behind it that can help grow it even more.
Yep.
And right from when I started this podcast, I've said, I want a professional series here. I know the words, a proving ground for our riders to go to America, but that's fantastic. We want that too, but fuck that. What about the international guys coming here, spending their money here and growing our sport in our country? And you can add there is a bit of Aussie flavour to it. Daniel said it on the podcast when he was on, more seat time, more track time. They don't get that there. So those little differences that you guys have worked on and changed is just going to make it even more exciting. And I know a lot of people say we're too small, but it's bullshit. We've got AFL, we've got rugby league, we've got big sports that are also starting to go globally to help boost them up even more. And I think people underestimate how big we can go. And I think, so that's why I support the AFTN. Some people have said, to me personally, you're sort of going with RSA. What's that mean? And, well, it means fucking nothing. I'm about the sport. It's not about being a rival. APO, you can say, is a rival with Clava. We network and we frog each other customers if we haven't got stuff. It's about growing it all together. Of course, there's a little bit of healthy competition's fine, but backstabbing and bitching and fighting and being stupid like that, it's not going to do anything for the sport. So
it really doesn't. And something you sort of touched on there, I want to add to it. I do a lot of work up here with Tony Quinn that owns Queensland Raceway and is very successful in business. And one of his things he always says to me is along the lines of, if you don't walk into a business on the first day and thinking about selling it, you're doing the wrong thing. And that's just his passion.
Yeah.
And Dave hasn't said anything about selling it. There's no chance of any conversation of that. However, you'd be crazy not to think of it when you're doing it. The passion that he's led there and the shit that he also cops. Because you go to a race weekend, if a race weekend, Dave is no longer, this is speaking purely from me, but he's no longer the person that's a point of contact. He's a series promoter, but there's people there like a clerk of course, there's stewards, there's everything. They're the ones that run the meeting of a race weekend. So the amount of shit that comes back through at a race weekend is a bit, you sort of go, why is that necessary? So, I agree with what you're saying there completely, Darcy, and I hope other people see the work that's been put into it and they come to one of our events and see it's a professional run meeting. Clubs, everyone needs clubs. We need clubs, but you sort of sometimes need things to be run like a business. And if it's run like a business and it's run successfully, fantastic. If it's run terribly, that's no good. But we get lots of good feedback and we'll continue to run it the way it is.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, go for it. So what have you in store for us? I know you've got some notes. Do you want to run through them? Because they might answer some of our questions or that we're going to throw at you. Anyway, what are some of the changes we're going to see in 2025?
Basically, obviously, we're bringing the women's class back. We did it a couple of years ago. We had a women's class for the series, which is something that, Rihanna Buchanan, that comes along and does our media and that of a weekend and does like our content platform, like of hosting. Her and I travelled to Gunnedah together last year, and we spoke about it pretty much the whole way home from Gunnedah, which was 8 or 9 hours, about how do we get a women's class, how do we get it back? Because last weekend or 2 weeks ago up here, we had 19 women at the grid at one of the dirt track meetings. So this year we're bringing a women's class back. And it's just a process of trying to build it, trying to activate it more. Maryborough will be a good proving ground for that because we have got a pretty strong foundation of female riders in Queensland. So that's going to be one particular thing. And then under lights at Griffith, obviously we'll round out that series. Last year we copped a little bit of heat about twins, which is something I'm actually personally very passionate about as well. I've raced the Harley a few times up here in Queensland, and I honestly thought there'd be more of them coming out of the woodwork in the last few years, and there hasn't been. So we've sort of divided up the class with that. I just got to get the names completely right, but there's a Pro Twin Street Cup along with Pro Twins. So for original OE style bikes opposed to framer style or modified. So we're going to have a bit of a division in that. But feel free to interrupt, or not interrupt, but feel free to elaborate on that if you'd like to a bit further, or ask any questions on that.
So on the twins, since we're there, that means there'll be, let's use Matt Davies' old bike now, he sold it, but the Kawasaki as an example, that will be scored separate from, say, my Harley XG 750.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so your XG will be basically, I don't know the rules,
stock
but
standard street.
it's the same as the one I wrote up here. It's the water-cooled XG 750. That basically runs as like a street bike. And then a framer will be the, Pro Twins. What are we calling it? It's the proper Pro Twins bike. But then there's Pro Twin Street Cup is what it'll be for XG 750, or if you came on a 1200 Sporty or a Royal Enfield or anything under those guises, we need to have it. And same with the 450 CLCs, the not the 450 CLCs, the 700 CLCs, the CF Motos. You need to have it for them as well. So basically, if it's an unmodified bike, it slots into that class. You're going to be racing together, but it's going to be pointed different. And, continue to persevere with twins, because it is a process of trying to dial it and make it perfect, because it should be exciting racing. Like, the bikes are cool. What we're seeing is good. Just need to get the recipe right, and that's why the rule changes for this year.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's something I was pushing for as well. Had a couple talks to Dave about it and said, it's definitely, you don't want to rule out those custom flat track frames that are coming in from America and the bikes with all the bling, basically, let's call them. Race bikes, full-on race bikes. And if we can grow that, that's great. I don't know if you've been watching any Flow Racing or the American series. They've just, as most of our community will know, they've just done a big rule change, and the FTR was sort of ruled out of it. And I was really on the fence until I watched the racing, and far out, man, the racing's so much better. Like, it was the right move. 100% the racing's competitive. They're all a lot more even. Yeah, it's fantastic. So obviously here in our country, it's that baby steps. People have to be patient. The guys that want to spend that kind of money to bring those bikes in can. Again, the guys building them up. I was very lucky with the bike I got. I got it for quite a good deal, and having some of the contacts I have, the build hasn't cost me too much. But I have heard that some guys that have started from scratch have almost spent the same as if they imported one anyway. So, there's all that sort of stuff to iron out. And around the pits up at AFTN, I had, funnily enough, quite a few dads of racers going, I think I want to come and race with you. They all just want to beat me. But I think, whatever motivates them is awesome.
That's the place to be.
But, it's true. It's a fun class. And motorcycle racing's not safe, but it is a little bit safer at the moment than say going in the 450 class. But you can never guarantee motorcycle racing being 100% safe. So
very true. And one of the things that, like, we pre AFTN, we had hooligans racing up here in Queensland. We had 26 bikes at the top of that, twins, right? So they're around somewhere. But Kai Thompson, Speedway rider, raced in Europe, came up and cleaned everyone up on one of the 500 Lambs bikes. So it doesn't have to be, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's the possibilities are there for, a 500 Gunnedah, for instance. It's not going to be favourable, but it doesn't have to be to go and have fun. You don't have to go and spend that if you don't want to either. So we just need to get more of those out. And mate, seriously, Darcy, that up here, we lined up 26 bikes that first
that's awesome.
race.
Yeah, it's a shame they're not tuning up.
Yeah, it is a shame.
Maybe they're worried that it's too serious for them or something. I'm not sure, but
I don't know.
Not serious enough. Who knows? We'll find out in the years to come. But
but it's building. That's the main thing, mate.
Yeah. On that note, if you end up with full grids in both twins classes, where do we go with championship status?
That's been the contention of a while. You need a certain number of people to host the championship. It'd have to be a perfect division of the two classes. That's
Yeah.
probably where I'm at now. So imagine if we had 3 framers, they can't be a championship. Like, it's just not possible.
Yeah,
It's
obviously.
it's sandbagging. But if you had a complete twins class where it's all eligible OE bikes, for instance, and it was categorized like that, then you have to talk to MA about making it a proper, if you had a full grid of it, it's sort of, there's merit there. Long as it's all put together as a scrutineered product where there was not, something that's just out of hand, out of control. Like an FTR 1200 comes in, or FTR or something comes in, sorry. It's going to be very difficult. So, but that's the rules, and they're the things that we're going to have to cross over as well.
Yeah. So let's say,
Yep.
so I haven't got the subregs yet. I haven't seen them. I believe they're done. I don't think they've been released though, have they?
There's a version, but not proper release. But they are on the website. You can actually download if you want. But
can you the new ones for 2025?
25 is, yep.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
Yep.
So in that, does it say you need, what were the 2 categories?
It's going to be Pro Twins, which is our, our class that we've ran. And then there's Pro Twin Street Cup.
Right. So if in the subregs, does it say 8 bikes to make a championship? Does it say anything about that for each one, Pro Street Cup and Pro Twins? It needs 8 bikes in each, or you're not sure?
I haven't read the subregs yet.
Yeah.
I've just seen that they're released, and I haven't been detailed through them. I apologise enough. So
no, that's all right. We knew we were going to hit a couple of those, but these are some of the questions I've been getting asked about twins and that sort of thing. And I said, well, I don't know either. Until the subregs are out, nobody knows.
Yeah,
that's cool.
There is up on competitor documents now. There is a version. Entries to constitute a class, and that will be the column. I haven't been through it, so I won't answer it. I'll be talking out of my ass. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So anyone that is interested, go check it out on the AFTN.com website. Okay, so with the women's, just backtracking a little bit with the women's class. So we know we had a good turnout at the Aussie titles, but that's 21-18. Do you have confirmation of girls saying, yep, we've got 19s and we're turning up? Did that help motivate the decision, or it's just...
It definitely has. Through my work and some of the things I do behind the scenes here, I've spoken to a fair few of the girls. I know there's a WhatsApp chat that's floating around regarding it, and the wheels, because I had a few different ideas on different things to run for this to try and just let's make it happen. The wheels weren't the biggest issue. It really hasn't been. I was like,
oh, right. Yeah.
I'm like, really? That was my answer. Is like, no, like if we're going to do it, we're equipped to get the wheels. We can do this, because I was like, what does it take to try and get this? But there's at least a good 6 or 8 that people that have said, yeah, we commit. But once entries open, we'll see. It's very difficult, and it's all classes. It's not just the pro women's or the women's class, but we just need to wait till the entries start filtering in. But from the conversations I've had, is yes, definitely, and try and make it happen. And that is the Queensland reason for obviously coming up to here, was let's get to Queensland. There is a good amount of women that ride up here, and hopefully access to the 19s as well. And for my own way of it is, we'll beg, borrow, steal 19, or not steal, sorry about that, but we'll get 19s from anywhere, because it needs to happen. We need to grow it more. We just need different ways to do it, and whether that's crossing over other people's wheels or doing all sorts of things, whatever it takes, it needs to happen. And that's where we're really trying to make it happen, and to have Maryborough as the first. Hopefully that is enough incentive to, let's come up here. It's a nice spot to go. Come and participate, find out what you like about it, and then hopefully come to Griffith and be under lights, and hopefully a really, really good show down there.
All right, Tom, I know you've got a question there. Come on.
Yep.
Fire it off.
Well, unfortunately, you pretty much asked the question that I was gonna throw
Oh
at
no,
you.
I left one that I know you want to ask.
No, but
It's along the same lines, but
I do understand what Dave's trying to do with bringing the women's class in, and I reckon it's fantastic. When I saw there was 18 girls
Yep.
entered the Aussie titles, it's pretty much the biggest grid I've ever seen in over 20 years of dirt track. So it was awesome to see. The only thing is that I was going to ask, but you already did answer, was do you have a lot of interest in women entering that class to warrant to run it? Because I know that you guys ran it the last round at Gunnedah a few years ago
Yeah,
now.
23. Yep.
Yeah, and there wasn't a hell of a lot of interest around it, and I was just surprised that that the class was thrown back in. So the girls that I'd spoken to at Brisbane about it at the Aussie titles said no, they're not doing it. And I don't know if it was either because of the distance they had to travel or
Yep.
purely for the tyres, but I know a handful of them said they're not comfortable on 19s, so they don't want to do it. So does Dave have a lot of support in that class? And yeah, and if so, that'd be fantastic. I reckon it'd be awesome having an extra class in there.
I think I haven't spoken to Dave about this. This is my own conversations with some of the girls. The number would be pretty close to 50% of what we've seen at North Brizzy of general interest. That's double what we had at Gunnedah in 2023. So that's really good. Yeah, we just need to build off that. So hopefully that's a thing. There's certain people like, for instance, Taylor Street, who came up to the rounds last year. It's such a long way for Taylor to come to Maryborough as well. Like, these are the conversations, like, I want Taylor to come back up to Queensland for it. But there's other meetings around it and things like that. So Taylor's set up for wheels, and I'd like for Taylor to come up, but I'm not sure if Taylor's going to come up. But we just need to try and, just as much as it's in Queensland, and it's, you know, it's not North Queensland, but it's mid Queensland. It's really difficult to satisfy each particular part and state. My apologies, I've got a German Shepherd going crazy in the background if you can hear that.
That's
But,
right. That's all good.
So, and the other thing is down in New South and Victoria, there seems to be a population of female riders making more of a way, and we've put this in Maryborough, so it's made it a little bit harder. And this is just purely based on feedback that I've had. But there's a population of girls up here that have said to me that, hey, we're looking at around this number. Let's, you know, see where we can get to. So, but until entries are in, like any sport, I can't confirm that it's definitely that's it. But 8 or 9 is about the number that I've heard as a thing at the moment, mate.
Yeah, that's unreal. That's fantastic.
Which is
that
good.
you've at least got some sort of interest with a few riders that are going to enter it as well. It is a bit surprising that that AFTN has chosen Maryborough predominantly that dirt track and flat track is bigger in New South Wales. I thought it would have been sort of better to have it at maybe Gunnedah or something like that, just so it's a lot more central for Victorians, Western sort of New South Wales and Queensland to come down to. But I've been to the Maryborough track once. I didn't get to race it, but it was an awesome venue. And it was an awesome circuit, so I can only imagine that it'd be just as good, even with the track surface change and everything else in between. So, yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully I can make it to Maryborough. And unfortunately, the clubman class has to suffer that one round to accommodate for the women, and that's completely understandable. That's probably the only thing that might hinder me going up there, as in a rider that I was going to be helping out for the weekend is in the clubman class. So the other question I wanted to ask too, there was sort of 2 questions. One involved the twins and one involved this. If a rider had entered the Pro 450 class at Maryborough, would they be allowed to enter the Clubman Series from the remaining rounds if they didn't want to keep doing that? That was the only question that I got asked by a few riders. That was sort of their balance point between going to Maryborough or not. So I think it'd be good if they could ride the Pro 450 class and then say just for them 2 rounds, and then go back to the clubman class to see where they sort of stack up. Some might stay, some might go back down. But would that be an opportunity for clubman riders to be able to do that?
That's a really, really, that's a damn good question. I don't know the correct answer for it, but obviously, they'd have to qualify
Yes,
for
of
the
course,
round.
of course.
So that's A. But I don't know about the going back to clubman because it's a support class.
Yes.
But it's a great opportunity. I don't have an official MA based answer on going back and forth between the two classes. I am so sorry on that. I'd like to have one,
Oh, that's right.
and I think it'd be a great. I'm all about we should have more numbers on every grid,
Mm.
and if we get people from down south that want to come and compete in Pro 450, that's a pretty damn cool thing. But and more people in all the classes, but. I don't know where it sort of sits in the rule book. I don't actually have the detail of that as well. So I feel
all
like a bit of a fill-in on that regards. I'm sorry, but I think it'd be good to have those people come and ride. But yeah, I just don't know the particular of going back to clubmen, say when you go back to Albury, for instance, or Griffith for that matter, you know?
Yeah, that was just the question I got asked for a few people that I know they're in the clubman class. So they said to me, like, are you still going to go up there? And I said, I'd really, really like to, but if I'm sort of going up for just as a spectator, it's a fair way to go. Just to sort of watch the event and not so much be a part of it as in helping out. So it's
Can I come back to you on that, Tom?
Yeah, not a problem at all.
Yep.
We've got the Claver Flat Track podcast Facebook page. If you want, you got an answer or anything like that, chuck it up on
you
there.
can post them on there.
I've just written it down.
Message Darcy or myself. I'm sure we'll be able to get the answers out to everyone out there.
Yep.
So is it an MA decision for that, or is it an AFTN decision?
I would think it'd be an MA ruling.
Yep.
I would think, but because it hasn't been done, I don't have I don't have a precedence to say we made the decision or not. So yeah, I would say it might be a GCR based thing.
Yeah,
I haven't looked, I haven't checked, but it's a conversation I'll have and I'll find out the definite answer for it really quickly because it'd be nice to have.
Yeah, hopefully they can, because if the series stays at Maryborough, then it obviously gives the clubman riders a chance to ride that track and as well stack up against the 450 class, because I know there's a fair few riders in the clubman class that would have qualified for A group, if not higher up in the B group. So it'd be awesome to see where they would stack up against, say, the pro riders of the country. It'd be awesome to see that as well as they also get a ride at a track where they could potentially be battling for I'd say a support championship as it is, but at least get to have a run on that track on those tyres in a racing condition as well. So it'd be really interesting to find out if that's the case, and if it is the case that they can go back to clubman class. I dare say you'll see a handful more clubman riders come up and do that event to be able to continue with the series.
Yeah, that's cool. For a clubman competitor, because that's where I'd like to be if I was to come race something.
That's me too, mate. Don't you worry.
I would think we're going up there on a level playing field. So there hasn't been a race meeting since 2019. A wide bay title 2019, about November, December. There is a new track surface, so everyone's going there completely raw. We're on 19s. It's all different. So as a clubman competitor, it's a really good time to come and test yourself. So I like it. I'll come with a bit better answer on your Facebook page and that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That was actually, I'm glad you touched on it, Tom, because that was one I was going to say. There are definitely some capable clubmans out there that I don't actually think they're clubmans. I think they should be in the Pro 450. I've actually talked to Dave about that. Just having the 450 class, and obviously a lot of people would miss out when it comes to the way it's ran at the moment. And that's just one of the challenges AFTN have got ahead of them. Let's say the women's class, you get a massive turn of women turning up. And you go, well, we don't want to lose that momentum. Obviously, they've got Griffith, but what about in 2026? So that's a solution. And I think the DTRA might actually have it. So they run A, B, C, D, E, F if they have to final. So, obviously you've got to fit it all in one day. So it's got to be cut somewhere. It could get mental. But I just think like watching the clubmen over last year, over 2024, there's mixed results, and that's the great thing about a series. That's what all the dirt track races, dirt track, flat track,
Yep.
21, 18, 19, were giving us as feedback. I put surveys out, what do you want in Australia? And I will tell you, 100% came back with series. It was a series, so that it's an
Yep.
even playing field. It's not just a turn up and the guys that ride there all the time are dominating.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
Australian dirt track should be the same way.
that's what we see across the series. And sometimes those guys that would have qualified from Clubman actually would have qualified in the Pro 450 class wouldn't
Yeah.
at another track. And sometimes the guys that qualified for the 450 class would have been qualifying for the Clubman in another track. So
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think. I think we've got a great bunch of riders here, and yeah, I'd love to see it not as a clubman, just as a championship class. 450s, twins, women's, then the junior classes, of course. Can't forget the kids because they're our
Yep.
future, and
Yep.
yeah, they're doing awesome. Some of that junior racing's the best racing out there. So
Yeah, definitely. And like the big thing it comes to there, and you've probably got a question about this, is timing. One of our
yeah,
key things is we try and give bulk laps.
yeah,
I've done the commentary at the North Brisbane Cup. It's 177 races in a day.
yeah,
It's a lot of
massive.
commentary, So you come to an AFTN event. You do your quads, 444, basically come through. You get your bulk laps. It's pushed through quite quickly, like a T20, but you get
Yeah,
heaps of laps. You start introducing more classes into that. You fall back into what I think is the waiting around thing, and I don't like it. I'm a fan of it just being pushed through really quickly. You get, the riders up as quick as possible. Next session, but you want to have all categories in there. It's that balance, mate. And
oh,
yeah,
it's hard.
it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
hard.
it's real hard. Yeah, yeah,
Yep,
we've banged heads over it heaps of times, haven't we, Tom? And
Mm.
like, okay, so say we combine Clubman with 450. So
yep,
then what do the guys that don't have a 450 do? There's
yeah. They
no open
suffer.
class anymore because Clubman is an
Yep,
open class. So
yep.
that causes another problem,
Yeah, definitely. And they suffer. And like,
Definitely.
there's been a few 350s. We've had Lee Hunter come on his 252 stroke.
Yeah,
We've had a
yeah,
couple of different two strokes in there. And that's the thing, like, Lee came on a 250F in 2023, right? Did really well, like, did amazingly. I'll go on the podium,
yeah,
then bought the CR out. I think it's 97, 96, 97, 250. Did well as well, but he couldn't run those bikes within another class. He's a clubman rider.
yeah.
Like,
That's it.
he
Yeah,
sits that mold really well. He has a few different bikes that fit in that class really well. If we eliminate that completely, we've got nowhere to go for him. And
yeah,
there's heaps of people like that. That's just one example.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's right. I know. Yeah, there's no. It's you guys are going to have this battle forever.
Yeah, yeah,
We
yeah,
see it with the AFT in America. It just depends, and rightfully so. It's up for you to go the direction. So
yep,
when I'm saying you, I'm meaning the AFTN team
yep.
to go in the direction they think that's going to be best suited for our country. And you can't please everyone. Like,
No,
so I don't know if you watched my interview with Anthony Brown from England, the director of the DTRA. They've gone through all the same things, and I'll be going over there shortly, as I was telling you off here, and yeah, we'll be talking, and I'll be getting as much information as I can pass on as well back here to people if they,
yep.
these are some of the things I've learned through other people.
I I think
Maybe
that's
try
good.
that.
I think that's good, Darcy, as well. And I think that's one of the things. Like, as a business, we do take it on. We do have the conversations. You've spoken to Dave a lot. I've spoken to Dave a lot about different things. We are very headstrong in the direction as well. Like, if it's not something that we'll entertain, no, let's continue with the path that we're going. But you've had the access to be able to talk to those people and bring different ideas, and it's definitely something we're always open to. Like, this week, I've spoken to Amy King a fair bit, that raced the Star Cup at North Brisbane at the titles the other week, got on the podium. And, Amy has some different ideas about racing and trying to get different girls in some different avenues as well. And we we're open. The door is pretty open to it. As I say, if it's something we won't entertain, let's continue pushing where we go. But America, we got to look at America. We got to look at England. Like I said to you off air, New Zealand's something we've got to look at and go, what are they doing that's so good? Because they seem to be succeeding in what they're doing as well. So you'd be crazy not to look at these other avenues,
Yeah, Tom, you got any more questions since you're the big head on my screen?
Well, the other question I was going to ask, but it's not so much of a question because it's probably very, very difficult to answer without sort of having Dave or here.
Yep.
But if you had, say, for instance, you got rid of the clubman class and you just run Pro 450 A, B, C, all the way down to however riders. But if you still had Pro 450 A and B, but if you didn't qualify for the A or B class, would it be able to give an opportunity for one of those riders to go into clubman class so they didn't miss out on traveling 18 hours to Maryborough or whatever else and going there and going, I had 2 shock and qualifying, now I've got to sit here and twiddle my thumbs sort of thing. Like, I know it's hard because that means they've got to qualify as in time qualify for clubman as well to find where they fit on the grid.
Yeah.
But it's just sort of a snowball thing, or like to throw at Dave to sort of be like, well, if there's 2 or 3 riders that don't really bother that they didn't make it, if they weren't quick enough or whatever the reason behind it, still give them the opportunity to race in the clubman class. Like, I know it's a whole another kettle of fish to be able to do that, but it could be sort of an idea to encourage people to try and get to every event, because I want to go to AFTN like everyone else does and see the hill full of people, the grid stacked, like just racing. Like, you don't want to go there and you want to see sort of people drop off. You want to try and see it as stacked as you most possibly can to get the best atmosphere out of the event. So it's just, that was sort of just something to throw in there, just to, I don't know, keep in the back of his mind to say he could walk up to a couple of riders and go, hey, look, I know you guys didn't make the Pro 450 A or B. Do you guys want to run in clubman instead?
There'd have to be the discussion, Tom. My hesitation of it, and I think you guys will agree with this as well. If you got out there in your first few laps you weren't comfortable, is it Sam? If you're going for Pro 450 and you're like, man, I'm not going to make this. If you're a clubman competitor and you've lined up and you've said this is what I want to do for the year, and someone from Pro 450 comes into that, it's not sandbagging, but you know what I mean. You'd have to.
Trust me,
it's
happened a million times in dirt tracks. So I know exactly where you're coming from.
It has, and if you go out there and go, geez, I thought the track would be more grippy, or thought there'd be, that's the biggest fear for my own side of it is you want to reward especially clubman riders that are coming to have fun. It's a fun class. You want to reward them with racing people that are actually clubmen. But like you see it in America, I hate seeing when, there's a big amount of bikes and then people have got to go home. They've travelled across the state. They have to go home. We had it at one of the events last year, might have been North Brizzy, and it bloody hurts when you have to say, A and B, it didn't, you weren't able to, because it's an investment. It's people's time. We're all just humans. We all feel the same things. So I get it, but you just got to watch out for that next part that, sadly, the human behaviour sometimes does fall to that where, geez, I hope no one sandbags it. But you just hope everyone's going out to make it as fast as they possibly can. And if they don't qualify, you go back. That'd be a fantastic scenario. But it does lead to that in other sports I have seen.
Yeah, I completely understand. The more I was thinking of it is if we do have more tracks and they are further away and things like that, for riders to go, well, I can at least give it a go. And if I get smoked or I don't qualify for at least I can still have a ride that weekend, which would entice more riders to go and participate in the events to build the class, build the sport, and build this series as well. But we all know who the guys are more than capable of being up in front. We can see, like, if you've got someone like Kaishan Mill going, I really don't like this track. I'm just going to hammer around and, I'll be in the clubman. You're going to be like, mate, you're multiple Australian title holder.
It's not happening. Yep.
You can see it straight away. Like, I'm not gonna throw him under the bus what I'm going to because he's one of my best mates. when Luke Goff said to me after racing it up, and he said, "Oh, I might go to Gunnedah, but I'm going to enter in the clubman class." And I said, "Luke, I said, mate, I love you, but if you do that, there is no way in the world I'm going to be ever talking to you again." And he laughed at me and said, like, no, but that was one of his thoughts. And you have a rider like that. Like, it's crazy. Like, if Mick Kirkness goes, "I want to go in the clubman class," they would be like, "Really? That's what's going on." But it was more to try and entice more riders to go to these events and see where they stack up against the best in the country. And I just think it'd be a good thing, but it'd be more of an honesty thing to know if riders are, like you said, sandbagging so they can get the
See, I totally disagree with that. I think if you've entered Pro 450 or you've entered Clubman, you try your best to qualify for that class, and if you don't, you weren't good enough. And you know, if those guys that were in B group, they didn't qualify for B group, and then they're going into Clubman, then two Clubmen that were absolutely busting their balls to qualify are going to get bumped out, and that's just not right. And a lot of those clubmen, you might think, you know, say a good rider, or let's use me. Say I'm struggling in clubman, but I'm just on the qualifying. I've just qualified in 18th or 16th or whatever. And I'm fucking stoked that I qualified because I was having a bad day, and I'm thinking, you know I'm not the fastest, but I've qualified for the category I've entered in. Oh, hold on, mate, you bumped out because the two slowest guys in B group have decided to run in clubman. And to me, that's just wrong. That's wrong. It's the same. You know, you go in there, you entered in your class. Twins wasn't big enough, so I knew I was a shoe in at each round. You know, so that's a different story again. But you've entered in that class knowing too well that you might not qualify. You've got to go out and do the best. If you're having a bad day, you're having a bad day, whether you're Tom, Jane, Kosh, and any of my riders, Dan, Brendan, you know, and that's the honest side of racing. And I honestly believe everyone does it for the challenge, the personal challenge of being better and getting better. And if that is a harsh reality of life, is sometimes you're just not good enough. But you know, you pull your socks up, or as my kids say, you pull your big person pants up, and you fucking get back at it and give it another crack at the next round. So yeah, I don't think anyone should be bumping anyone out of any other class. The only one that's you know, you've got that rule in the A and B, and that's fine. They're all in the Pro 450 class. They're all there. They're all part of the Pro 450 class. It's just slightly ranked a bit different because you can't have, you know, you've sort of dealt with that ride time issue by having the A and B. So yeah, I'm happy with that rule.
You haven't said that. Sorry, you haven't said that, Darcy. What's to say that a rider goes into the 450 class and, like you said, doesn't qualify and can't drop to clubman to keep racing? What's to say next year he goes, screw the 450 class, I'm not going to be able to qualify for half the meetings, I'm going to go on clubman anyway. So that means the person, like you said, the bottom to a clubman class that was going to qualify, now he's bumped down because the Pro 450 rider's gone back to clubman.
Yeah, well,
that may not be able to happen that season, but I'm thinking
that brings a whole new rule and issue that they might have to bring in through MA of in America, if you've held a pro license for 5 years and then you don't hold it, you've got to wait 24 months before you can race in the amateur or something. I don't think
100%. I totally agree. Like I'm only throwing these questions out there just to see if they can all be clarified before it's an issue. That's that's the whole reason.
Well, maybe Mick can go back to Dave and go, these guys are off their tits and they're causing
He's thinking they don't need me. They can argue between themselves.
But in all seriousness, no. To add to it though, like it is the level of clubman is pretty high too. Like
that's high. It's high.
You have a look at it. The top 4 or 5 riders in there at Gunnedah would have been well into the Pro 450 class in lap times, well in. So you have a look at Benny Thistleton, John McLean before he had the accident, Neil Girdler, and they're flying. Yeah, they're absolutely flying. They're well into the Pro 450 lap time. So it's balance again. It is balance again. And, Hartwell Motorcycle Club at the moment is just they're doing a seniors road race meeting coming up. I'm not saying clubman's about seniors because there's a mixed age group, but you've got to retain. You start getting Pro 450 riders in there that are as hungry as they should be and are keen to race, like a Kaishan, for instance. You're going to deter. You're going to deter some clubman, right? It would deter me. Like I want to be on track with Kaishan at a practice day, but I don't want to go into turn one with Kaishan as a friend, racing against him because he's a lot more hungry than I am for winning a race. So it's so difficult, but it bloody hurts when you're driven from Victoria and you're in Maryborough and you miss the qualifying. You're like, oh shit, what a waste that was. And no one walks away really happy at that point. We have to go tell you, oh, you didn't qualify. The rider's not real happy about travelling all the way and not qualifying. So it's really difficult, Tom, to have that one.
Yeah, it's a catch-22 sort of thing, yeah.
And it does. There is a percentage of that comes down to you're never going to please everyone either. I mean, we all think differently from each other. There's riders around the pits that go, I know that there's a good chance I'm not going to qualify, but I want to have a go. I want to experience the AFTN, and they turn up.
Yeah, all the power to them as well.
If it's repetitively happening to them and they're not improving, they might drop off. But you can't. It's really hard to safeguard that. I don't think there is a full solution. That's a bit of a reality check. One of those riders, I'm not going to mention his name because I haven't asked his permission or anything, but he actually is improving, and I think that he'll go into Clubman and he'll qualify. Like his riding's got better because of the AFTN experience. And, it's not going to be all riders. And he was at the back of the field of Clubman, but he's determined and I think it's been a great benefit for him. So I hope that riders just rock up and support the series and give it a crack and be real about your ability and prepare yourself, I guess, that you might not make it. Because you said, Clubman is a pretty serious class without the title on it, so.
Yeah.
And I hope if Kaishan listens to this, hopefully he's not thinking, why the hell are you using me as an example? I'm using you as an example, mate, because you're one of the top riders in the country and it was just, you were the first name that sort of popped up in my head. So take it as a compliment, but I wasn't using you of anything other than a complimentary example.
He's a dead set star. Like, man, it's
he is.
To watch him ride, it's like, man, that's things you do shouldn't be possible, So
hell yeah,
it's cool. So yeah, same from my side. It wasn't because I was thinking you'd do anything. It was just purely
it was just I could have used 10 riders, but yeah.
Yep.
So one other quick question I've got before I shut up and Darcy can waffle on. Just quickly to clarify between the twins, the two twins classes, the two categories. So the custom and the standard is only defined by frame and not by motor. Is that correct?
Yeah, in a way. So if you have a motor that's not in that motorcycle fitted originally, even though it's an OE frame, that's no longer just a normal Pro Twin bike. That's been modified.
Okay, so you've got say for instance an XG or an XR750. And it is a stock frame, say for instance, not stock motor, but the motor's worked off its head, but it's the original motor that can be still run in that class. It's not in the custom class, it's in the standard class.
If the motor's worked?
Yes.
Yeah, in theory, without having the actual subregs in front of me. That makes sense. So an XG750, for instance, inside where it goes wrong, and you'd never do this, right? But if you had an XG750 motor and you put it into a 1200 sporty frame, that's a custom frame bike, even though you'd never do it. So, but if you've got an XG and you've done some modifications to it internally, like without reading the rules, so don't quote me completely on this.
No. This is all just throwing the dark questions
because it's mostly frame based. Most of the problem is frame based modifications, not so much engine, because I don't know about your XG. Darcy, but when I rode the one up here, we never modified anything on the engine. It was bog stock. The biggest thing that you could do to that is try and make more space for your legs to to make it more
Yeah.
rideable. So it wasn't engine so much. So frames more so where it's at. So basically the rules are specified no clip-on style, custom frame bikes are not introduced in the Pro Twins Cup for all those OE frame bikes to compete in the Pro Twins. So basically, if you clarify that a motor in another frame, even if it's another OE frame, is now considered a custom frame.
Okay.
That's the basics of the rule. There's more detail once the sub-regs do come out.
Yeah.
But, like it's predominantly frame suspension-based issues where you mounts and stuff like that. So, just to really make that a thing. But if you've got a stock XG750 and you've done some work to it, in my eyes, it's sort of still a stock bike because you've still retained the frame, you've retained how it looks from the manufacturer apart from your front brake,
Yeah, the only reason I asked the question was I don't think anyone's going to go to the extent of trying to bend any rule or manipulate any grey areas in there. But if the sub-regs come out and it's very defiant of what you can run and you can't run in what class, it all comes down as well as a stock YZ450 to one that's had a $50,000 motor put in it.
Yeah.
It also comes down to that as well. So more or less, I want to say is just I wish the sub-regs, or hope the sub-regs are defined on what they determine what is a custom and what is standard in a sense. Yeah. And I know a lot of it comes down to a rider too, but that's just.
If you make the motor too hot in a standard frame, I think it's not going to do you any favours anyway.
Yeah, but everyone thinks more horsepower, more faster.
That's
what they look at.
It's really the suspension that made the difference to me. The motor was fine. Obviously, gearing changes the way the motor works a bit, and that was probably my biggest issue. Once I sorted that out, it was all about the suspension and feeling like I was riding a fucking ironing board. But it was a lot of fun, and I'm pretty sure you'll have to check yourself in the American flat track rules, but I'm pretty sure those XGs that got first and second on the podium don't have the race head anymore. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. I thought that was really interesting actually, and they bet the Essendon Yamaha. So
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's the ducktail really race seat, the fastback you're talking about, is it?
Sorry, say that again.
Is that the ducktail seating, like the fastback seat? Is that what you're talking about?
No, so they had So the Harley XGs last year, they had a special race head that changes the engine. I don't know heaps about it. I just know they had one, and I was sort of thinking, should I get one for my bike? But it's a disease, isn't it? Racers mentality.
It definitely is.
But I'm pretty sure. I'm 99% sure. I remember hearing in the rules that they weren't allowed to run them, and that they had to go back to the standard engine configuration. I'm pretty sure. And now they're on the top of the podium. But that whole thing, Yamaha had a couple of restrictions put on it as well. So but it's, I don't know, Tom, I've actually got the package now, the flow package, so you can check it out. But
it's too late now to worry about it. I bugged you enough for
it. The racing was awesome. Yeah, no, you got to have a watch. I just got to change the password because you can get into too many spicy stuffs with that password. So
easy, Tiger, easy.
That's actually what's been on the screen the whole time. Sorry there, Darcy. But
it's fantastic that Dave's is doing that for the twins class because I think when Matt found out that his bike's now eligible to ride after he sold it, he sort of kicked himself in the ass about 35 times, but. It's
he'll be back. He's going to buy another one, don't you worry.
Oh mate, I hope he buys 20 of them. You can lend me one and I can try and throw it down the raceway. No, but it's good that Dave's doing that because it will entice more people to do exactly what Dave Scullard and Matt has done it. So mate, I can't wait for this series. It's going to be great.
I honestly think like Pro 450 is where it's at with the riders, but there should be a really good show with twins. Like they are. It's a loose motorcycle, like it should be. And if we have it divided like this and it works well, the pattern works well, no one takes the piss. Basically, it has it pretty.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's probably the big thing. There's no reason why it can't be a really good show. So,
and as a rider, even though mine wasn't a race Kawasaki, they're a shitload of fun. It's just as much fun, and it actually feels. Yeah, I actually don't think it feels that much different apart from the 450. No, like the sensation's the same.
Yep.
Obviously, like I was saying, my suspension could be upgraded, which would make it even better again.
Yep.
But all in all, being a good rider is about adapting and it was just a shitload of fun. I just
Yep.
wanted more racing. So is that on the cards for the twin? Are we going to see more racing for the twins? Because that it's quite. I don't know what the way around it is. If you can
Make
run
him
the
do the
oval on
jump.
both,
Make him do the jump. That's the way to do
I've told Dave. Dave will be banging his head against the wall because I
it.
told him I'll do the fucking jump. I don't care. We'll
Yeah.
scrub it.
Yep.
But yeah. Can the twins run the oval 2 days in a row or something? How do we get more track time for twins?
Yeah, it's the jumps. I jumped the Harley up here at Dust Hustle, the tracker.
Yeah.
Feels pretty full on to jump one.
Yeah.
So with the 19s, especially at 115 kilo geared up, there's a lot of load going through everything. But yeah, it's just very difficult to do on the second day. It really is, just with time schedule, just trying to push everything through, trying to give everyone as much laps as possible. It's all about laps. At the meeting, I know that sounds a bit counterintuitive when you say twins aren't getting laps, but it is all about getting laps, and that's our calendar's pretty rigid with that. But yeah, I don't know. It have to be something that we
Yeah,
have to look at, because it's hard Saturday night.
Sorry,
when they go home.
I might be a bit slow, but I don't understand that because it would be the same format as the day before.
Yep.
As far as racing format, so why would it upset the timetable any?
Just trying to do presentations, pack up, trying to get out,
Okay,
everything
yeah,
like that.
right.
So you're doing presentations. There's a lot more activity happening on a Sunday, round 2,
Yeah,
2, 4, etc. So just trying to get everything process of packing up, trying to keep it a nice streamlined day would be one of the main reasons. But
yeah, okay,
I don't know why you couldn't change the track in and out. I don't know a guaranteed answer of why we could make it not happen, but trying to streamline the day is a definite necessity. Because one thing we have noticed is day 2 is usually a bit better time-wise. It does flow a little bit better. Every single round, day 2 seems to flow better. Everyone's pretty anxious when they get out. This is all classes, not twins, not anything in particular. But day 2 seems to be a lot more flowy day, and we need that to go through schedule. We want to try and create. Racers want racing. We also need a bit of media stuff throughout that in the afternoon, and those things catch up really quickly on time if we start pushing that other category back. But that's where I'm at with it. I don't know if that's the correct answer, but that's where I'm at.
We'll roll with
sense.
that. Roll with whatever you throw at us. With the presentations, now this is something that bothers me. I know it's hard to organise.
Yep.
I know bringing that podium into the middle of the track creates other problems too. I get it. But what about, do you hear anyone mentioning that, the spectators saying we'd like to see it, have better access to see it? And technically down the track, and especially when you're thinking about what MA's throwing at clubs and promoters and that about the rules in the pits and, safety. So you can't have public coming into the pits. So is there any thought around that? Any changes this season about where the presentation will be held, or we're going with the same structure?
No, we haven't spoken of it. I haven't spoken to David at all. However, it's something I hear all the time, especially Gunnedah. It's a fantastic place to have a presentation in the middle because everyone's staring at you. I get it, 100%. There's no yay nay on that. It's a question that gets asked a fair bit. We do the individual presentations while there's still racing on. We try and hold them back. It's very hard to communication-wise. Only thing you probably have to do, I don't know about the safety of having everyone staying in there for the whole time or in and out. It'd just take a little bit more time. I guess that's one thing. Or B, do you wrap it up at the end of the day with everyone together? Don't know the ins and outs of it, but on the same as you, I get heaps of questions about that because usually any of the places away from the microphone tower, so you don't have a reception. A lot of people can't hear it.
Yeah, so that was a big thing that I was finding. Like if I was filming down the other end at Gunnedah at the straight, and I could sort of hear the announcing, and oh yeah, we've got you interviewing first, second, and third. Oh, where's it gone? What's happened? You can't, if you lose that mic and you can still see it, you don't feel so ripped off. If that makes sense.
No, I do. I really do, and that's the same at North Brisbane. North Brisbane was the same problem last year. If I turned my back around and faced the commentary box and faced my back to the riders, I could still talk through the PA. But where we do presentations is always a fair way away from transmitter, and it's something I would like to see. I don't know the perfect recipe for it.
It's just a growing pain, really.
It is a growing pain, and people want to see it. Like, there's so many people on the hill of Gunnedah. Like, for instance, just that one in particular. North Brisbane was good. Appen you could probably do still where it's at, because it works pretty well down there, because most of the people are down there. Not that we're going back there this year, but I'm just going to places that we've been before. Maryborough, when I've raced there in the past, they've done presentation right in the middle in front of the grandstand there. But it's very much like Appen in a way. You probably do it in the same sort of place. I haven't been to Albury yet, so I don't know how that would work. But I really like the concept of it. People have got to see it. They're coming to the event. I don't know how we do it better, but it's a question I get asked a fair bit. And why can't I hear it? Why can't I see it? When I'm walking back, it is something that happens a bit. So, I'd like to work on it.
Well,
that is an insanely difficult thing as well, because I've had people that were in the crowd at Appen and things like that as well, and they go, well, who won what race? Who got where? Even when I was at Gunnedah, we had mates sitting on the corner like, okay, well, who got first, second, or third, and who won the championship, who moved up to where? And the thing is, if you have it at the end of the day, well, you don't have half the riders and spectators viewing the presentation. And if you have it after each round, like, say, for instance, at Bathurst Long Track, the last time they run it, the sidecar presentation was just before the Pro 450 final, I think it was. And we actually stayed in the infield to watch the race, which was awesome. But people were like, it dragged on so much longer because after every final, we had to wait for the next 15, 20 minutes to do the presentation and all that and keep going. So, that is... I wish there was a blanket answer for that, like as in you wish as well, but it's very hard to do. It's on you show the riders or you show the crowd.
For me, it's the AFT recipe. I think that works well, and they've got it dialed. Once you've got it dialed, I think you'd be fine if you can do something similar like that. But that way, because as we've talked about, you've got a product on your hands, so and growing the audience is as important as growing the rider base, if not more important, because it's going to help the series a lot and help get investors. So I think that's a very big part of your recipe that you want to be getting right. That's just my personal thoughts about it, because if you're paying to go and see something, you're generally going to pay to go see a show. You're expecting
especially these days,
a good product. So I think it's a very important thing. I love the way AFT do it. It's good for the social media side, because you can film that stuff and present it later and recaps and all that sort of stuff. So I think that's good. I would be against doing it at the end of the meeting. That's Australian dirt track. That's also amateur, in my opinion. That's a club day, and there's nothing wrong with club days, as we've mentioned a million times. Like, they've got to be there. That's where racers learn their craft and come up through. But we're talking about a premium product, and whether it goes professional and guys are getting paid to do it, or I'm pretty sure it's the AFTN's aim is to be the best flat track series in Australia. So, to me, that's probably the biggest thing that I think that you need to iron out, just so that you get people leaving the event and going, fuck, that was awesome, and they tell me, mates,
definitely. And I think if you go back to the premier classes, you look at Supercross here and you look at ASBK. That's probably our two big things that you sort of reference off. ASBK is still doing their presentation in the pit, away from
right.
people. You're like,
Yeah.
it's media, it's bang, 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 trying to get it through, trying to get the next lot of bikes on the grid. So they're still doing that. The Supercross this year did it to the side a little bit in front of media, but not really in front of fans. It's just that damn recipe. And I was at that Bathurst meeting as well, Tom. And as a spectator, like it was a long time. Like it was one of the best race meetings I went to to watch the racing.
Yeah,
You're right. You there's a long time in between drinks. You sort of you can't have that either. You want that's the benefit of flat track, dirt track. It's such a quick, T20 cricket. Let's get this thing happening. And the more you delay it by holding those things up, the more people lose their attention. And attention spans are hard to capture. One thing I have said in the past would be I would, depend on where we're at, dirt track is such a remote sport, and flat track is such a remote sport, basically. But I wondered about having a not for TV, but if there is a possibility of one of the local, Coates or Kennards to put a digital screen out in the middle that had us on to CompuTime, because that's something I reference over the daytime when I am doing the commentary. Is all our details are on CompuTime. It is one of our things. It's live. It's up to date. Maybe that's something that people can plug into. They're not seeing the thing, but they're seeing series points. They're seeing what I see when I'm commentating. That might be an option, especially commercially, if we can get other people to come on board and bring a track. We can't bring it from each place that we're from, but if each town you go to, it's a matter of just plugging it in and putting it in. I think that would be a nice way for some fans to at least see timing, points, race results as it's coming through.
That could really work. That would be a
the
good
screen in the middle
solution.
would be absolutely unreal. That'd be fantastic.
I'm a little bit not sure about the middle, but a screen would be good if you can put it somewhere that because in the middle then you could be blocking a race line like from the spectators. Because Brendan and I are actually talking about that ourselves and saying the screen would be great, but then if you haven't got stands that you can see above the screen, then you lose a bit of, and like if there's a stack on the other side of it or something, people are going to go, oh, what's happened? I can't see the fucking screen. And then you've got another.
But that's also, if the track's in front of you there, if the screen's over here, you're going to be watching the racing and going like this every 10 seconds, and people just want to watch the racing, look at the screen, look at it's like, I know there's no 100% fix. No. And as well as you said with the podium at Bathurst, well, the year before, Wade did it the other way. Well, they had the presentation at the end. Well, we stood on the podium and looked up to an empty grandstand.
Yeah, that's hard, isn't it?
And there was like 30 people around us, and that was the only people that getting the trophies. And we're kind of like, okay, I understand you want to get the racing over, but as well as when we stood in the middle and everyone was there, it was fantastic. But then you had all the 450 riders sitting on the start line, waiting there, tapping their feet, and everyone's already got their eyes hanging out of their head because they've been there for so long too. It's hard. It's hard. I think you just got to do it one way, and it's going to please people, and it's going to other people going to get the shit. So
for now, you're going to continue to hear me say on your mobile phone, you'll see computime.com.au.
Yeah,
you'll see the live timing's available. If you need power charged up, I've got a power bank with me. So
see, if you're able to get a screen happening, I think that the ultimate there would be having a receiver to a camera so that we can watch you interviewing from the pits. And to me,
well, that's the next thing.
To me, that would satisfy me.
Yeah, that's a big I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a big step.
I know it's a big step. Yeah,
that's a big step. But a plug-in for timing is easily resourced, But to try and the other one's a bigger step, and then I'll
surely one of the AFTN team knows someone at Coates or Kennards or
You've got to in each town. It'd be nice, you rock up to Albury or you rock up to Gunnedah and bring a digital screen out, or take one from the roadwork.
Well, each town normally has a Kennards or a Coates or something. So that's good in that respect.
Yeah, something like that would be cool. The amount of people that ask for TV coverage, live stream, is insane. It would be amazing, but it's just
not quite there yet.
No. So I just want to get in that before you ask me. So
we weren't gonna throw that question at you.
Yeah, that one's
we know what it's like.
I've actually had that. I've actually been rung up and asked that. I don't know why they ring me and not you guys, but
Yep.
maybe they are ringing you as well, and they didn't
Yeah.
get the answer they wanted, so they rang me. But I guess that's just because we put ourselves out here on the podcast, and they think we know
Yep.
all this stuff. But I only know what the AFTN team tells me, and yeah, like what I said is that you want to be able to produce a professional product, and at this stage, you can't do that. And so you're not going to put out something amateur or
Yeah.
shit or below what you want to do. And I think that's a great thing. And it's sort of making people hungrier in some ways. So yeah, don't go putting out a product you're not happy with.
Yep.
Is I'm happy with that to do without live streaming and that at the moment.
Yep.
I think you'd be ripping yourselves off if you put something out and then everyone's complaint. Like what Speedway event was it? People were paying to watch it, and there was a lot of
Oh,
bloody backlash on there, and I thought that's disappointing. That's really disappointing for the organisers
yeah.
and for the fans. So you definitely don't want to be in that situation.
No.
I can totally understand taking time on that. As
Yep.
I've repeatedly said to people, and even had to say it myself a couple of times, it's still new, it's growing. We've got to
Yep.
be a little bit patient, a little bit understanding. Anyone that's done any sort of event management or ran their own business will surely understand how difficult it is, and all these things that blindside you and pop up, and that you don't know
Yep.
until you've run a couple, and sometimes, like you say, whether it's budget or convenience because the track's a bit further out and there's no one that can supply that stuff, or
Yep.
whatever it is, all these challenges come up. So I hope our listeners do take a step back and keep supporting the series and
Yep.
understand that you're a determined team and committed team that wants to keep growing it. But yeah, you're going to have these challenges.
Definitely, and I hope when people do come into the event, that they see that all the signage, like that they see it's a professional event. I
Yeah.
really hope people do see that it's something special. Like especially if you come for like the juniors, I hope that they're coming through and like they take some pride in what we are trying to do. Like the first appen that we ran 3 or 4 years ago now. I drove from Brisbane, slept in my car at Newcastle, picked up a whole lot of signage at Lusty's in Newcastle, picked up across the way, MX Store, like all the people that have supported us, Link International, picked up these on the way. And then I got to the track, Dave was setting up, and this is about 10 that morning, 10 or 11. And we walked through till about 9 o'clock setting up. This is the first year. We got a bit better at it since then. But I hope people come in and see that the stuff isn't set up there every day. It's purely for that thing. We want to make it professional, and we want to see like we are seeing the young kids coming through. Like the pages, obviously the fire. Like we're talking younger coming through that are racing internationally now, and that hopefully that they've had some prep in a little bit of media stuff, B, a level of professionalism and how you interact with people around the pits, and podiums and stuff. And go overseas and have the same feeling, and maybe be a bit more professional in some of it than what they are over there. That's what I'd like to. That's what I'd like to pass on to. As a, I don't know if legacy is the word it's used a bit, but if that's something that we can, and it is seemed to be working. We're getting riders going over there, and it's pretty damn cool for us. Like all of us, we all get to see, these kids, the kids compared to me, even the 20-year-olds. Going over racing and enjoying it. And if we've done something more professionally here, fantastic. If we need to learn, we will. But I hope that's something that we can continue to push and help those kids and help the sport grow a little bit here,
Yeah, the sport and what you guys done with AFTN is unreal, because 19s were kind of frowned upon in Australia. Like even that over here years and years and years ago, if someone's running 19s, you'd be like, "What, have you got a death wish?" And that was always the thing around it. And I never really frowned it or anything like that. But I'm a traditional dirt tracker. But then once I got on them and started understanding the concept of them was better, and you guys giving junior riders a stepping stone, or even senior riders a stepping stone. I look
Yeah.
at Tom Herrick, you know what I mean? He's
Yep.
come through, won the championship, and now moving on to his next venture.
Yep.
It's good that he's still being able to support the series, but he's been able to move on to the next venture, and it's good that he can get a pro license now after being an Australian champion and get
Yep.
thrown straight into the American Championship straight away. So, yes, it's definitely a good thing. And you're going to have criticism no matter what you do, mate. I'll wake up in the morning, you get criticised for it.
Yep.
So, you know, as long as you've got the right intentions
Yep.
and you've got the right headway and you're doing what you're doing, mate, I'll always support the series and I'll always do whatever else I can. And same with Darcy. That's 90% of the reason why we do this podcast. 10% is to give each other shit and 90% is to build the sport. So, yeah, we absolutely love it. And, yeah, we just ask the hard questions because that's the questions that we get asked. And if riders are asking us that, well, then that's the questions that you're going to get thrown at too. So, no, we do appreciate you jumping on and giving us as much info as you possibly can.
Yeah, and I think, like, to add to what you said about the tyres, and you guys have been around for a long time, like, I came through, the tyres we ran originally was a 1918 setup when I was in Ballina. It was Kingston Catapult tyre, 1918. That was what was popular down there. Then all of a sudden, we start coming to Queensland, 2118. This is what was happening. Then 17 started to be a thing. Supermoto start growing. You know, like, we've had all these different areas, and I think now, if we can keep it consistent, this is where it'll grow. If we can keep that path growing, this is where it'll grow. Because, man, we've been through some. Like, my shed a few years ago was full of different wheels for different bloody things. Like,
yeah,
that's
I've
never
got
going.
different types of wheels for my 450 as well.
It's never going to change, but hopefully we can continue on a path that, you know, because that's what America's doing. Jared, when he went over to Europe, that's what they were on. You know, the door is there for that. It's got to be. It's got to be this path.
It's a no-brainer for me. It's why I started my business. The amount I lost count of how many times I got told I'm an idiot and you're crazy. It won't work. No one will do it. And I said, well, everyone is on them in every other country. I don't see anyone racing 2118 in these other countries.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you might think it's small, but when you tie in the world, it's actually a big industry and it's growing. America is obviously the leader. Europe, Spain is pretty huge there. We don't see a lot of coverage of it, but from my insiders over that way, it's still pretty big. Germany, all the Netherlands, you know, and then Europe, UK and all that. They're all into it. They've got framers. They've got mad dogs. New Zealand, like you said, they've come a long way in the last 6 to 7 years. They're still running within Speedway New Zealand. They haven't quite gone out on their own yet, but it's working. And, you know, that's the main thing. They've got a lot more riders happening. You know, we've got a few riders going, I've gone and raced with them. Jim Jobling went and had a race with them. It doesn't matter what level you are, but it's all, you know, it's starting to intermingle. And if it wasn't for 19s, that wouldn't be happening because, you know, guys will be going, I'm not familiar with that setup. Why am I going to spend $5,000 on the trip when I think I'm going to be shit? You know,
we had one rider come out to Appen and we're like, should jump on a set of 19s and see how you go. They're on a 2118 setup and they're like, I'm not sure. And I said, well, jump on them and have a go. Went out and absolutely axed himself, like cartwheeled the bike. He'd come in swearing, cursing. They're the shittest thing in the world. I'm like, why did you go that hard into that corner? Never been on those tyres before, not knowing what they were going to do. Why wouldn't you warm yourself up to it? Then blatantly refuse to ever go near them ever again. And it's kind of like, that's, you don't get on a road bike and then go in the wet and go hammer and tong into a corner thinking it's a 30-degree, 40-degree like temperature track with slicks on. Like, it's just rocket science. And seeing that, I think a lot of people have got the same mentality, like, what? Like, I've had people say to me, why would you use road race tyres on dirt? And I'm like, that's what, but you can use them on the road. You can use motocross tyres on the road. Doesn't mean it's ideal, but it's what's happening. It's what we're doing. It's what it's all about. And then I think at the end of the day, when they go back and they sort of think about it, they go, well, and as well as now there's an Australian series of it, now they're all thinking, hold on a sec. Well, obviously these are working because you've got the best dirt trackers, supermoto road races in the country doing exactly that. So it's I think it's changed a lot of people's opinion now that there is it's a professional series. It's an Australian Championship. AFTN is a professional series. And now that it's growing even bigger and going different places, you're getting so much more headway. And it's good to stand back now when people don't have to say to me, I think you're all right, because I'm a traditional dirt tracker itself, but I know they're coming to the events going, I wouldn't mind giving this a go. Like, it happened. I had two of my mates come up to me and go, this looks sick.
Yeah.
We want to do this. I'm like, well, speak to Darcy, get some wheels, get some tires, and go racing. And they're like, oh, yeah, sweet. Don't know if they've done it or not. I haven't seen them yet, but at least the idea's in their head. And if two people are saying it to me, well, then hopefully there's 30 others that are looking in the same direction.
Yeah, that would be nice. And, you know, like you guys probably know, like the boxing troops that used to travel. That's how I sort of treat it. Like, it's nearly like a bit of a troop, especially after a few years now. The same people, it's, you know, growing in numbers. We're getting this troop of athletes together. It's unreal. And that's always been really successful. And, you know, the community that we have got there is a fun one to be around. There's never any shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a great thing. Like, you go to these regional town centres and it's really nice to actually catch up with everyone. And if it continues on that way, it's mint. You know, we're really good with it.
Yeah.
Can I ask you guys, what would you guys like to see? Have you guys got any? You've been around this sport forever. What was your what's the bucket list?
Oh, you go first, Darcy. I'm gonna have to have a little think about it.
Yeah, have a think, Tom.
Oh, mine are pretty generic, Darcy, what I've been banging on about for 5 years anyway. Paid riders, racing teams, a higher professional level, more twins racing.
Jeez, mate, you have got a bucket.
Junior pathways, and getting more nationalities coming here to race our races as a professional, and you know, bringing their dollars into our country. When you start doing that, you can present to governments packages. You know, look what our sport's doing. We're bringing foreign dollars in, and people are living and competing and being athletes in our country. You know, so it's a really, really high bar, and it's why that the majority of people I say that to just think I'm crazy Kiwi with my head in the clouds, but it's coming. It's already started. And 19s is 100%. There's no doubt in my mind the way to do it.
Yep.
And 100% based on that fact. It's not bullshit. It's fact that they race them everywhere else in the world.
Yep.
So Spain is slightly, they still use wet motards, I believe, every now and then, but I mean, you know, but the concept's the same. So the same sort of starting grid. Wade Carter actually summed it up perfectly. It is, okay, it's the same style of racing as dirt track, but it is a different discipline because of the way we start, the laps, the timing. It is a different discipline than dirt track, but it's in the same family, you know, like speedway, same family.
It's the same with the motocross and supercross. Ideally, it's the same, just one tracks it out.
Yeah, it is its own thing, and it's global, and that's why I was and still am, very passionate about tapping into that for Australia and New Zealand. I want to see it. Those guys, there's some awesome talent in New Zealand. And the same feeling, the people, so like Caitlin Osberg and her husband Shane in America, you know, they're really working on the amateur side. She's mentioned to me about Australia has a women's class. You know, we see women getting a class of their own. We want that, you know, so there's an influence happening there. They're looking at us already and going, shit, they're doing some things a bit different. We want a women's class, you know, so... we are actually one huge family, and I hope people start not just taking my word for it, but actually looking for themselves, and you'll see pretty quickly. You don't know somebody overseas, you give them a message and just say, "Oh, I'm Darcy. I'm in Victoria in Australia. We race a bit of flat track, and I'm just a little bit curious about your club. You know, can you tell me anything?" Yeah, you've got a friend for life almost. Like, you know, there's something about flat track, dirt track. That's just not like another discipline. The community is different. We're not quite heads up our ass. There is some of that. Like, don't get me wrong, and at the tippy top, people get aggressive and they want to win.
Even down the bottom, there's a lot of that too. Don't you worry.
Yeah, there is. We've got some special characters, but it's not like some of the other disciplines. Like Tom, fuck, something's happened to me bike. Or Darcy, why aren't you going out in the next seat? Oh, my bike's fucking not going. Oh, let me have a look. That's majority of the pit will say, let me have a look, or I'll get Dad.
Yeah.
Or, and next minute you've got 6 guys ripping your bike apart to get you out on the track. In other disciplines, they'll go, thank God now I don't have another competitor.
Tough shit. See you next time. Yeah.
So that was pretty much, I know we've flown off your question there, Mick, but my bucket list is to have paid races. I want to see people make a living of it. I've always used the footy analogy of starting out at sort of VFL level and, building up to an AFL level where we have people on contracts that you can actually, retire on. That would be fantastic. That is quite a few years off, obviously, but I think it's attainable with the right people in the right places with the right contacts. I don't have Rupert Murdoch contacts. I wish I did because I'd be annoying the fuck out of him every day. Put an investment in here of a few $1 billion, please. But someone out there in our industry, we've got quite a few. We talk about all the time the amount of money people spend on the engines and on their equipment and stuff. And they go, and then I hear people say, oh, we don't have an industry. We're not big enough. There's not enough money to go around to make a professional. Well, you're spending fucking 50 grand on a motorbike. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
How about maybe keep it, maybe invest 25 into a team and use the other 25 for your bike, or I don't know, but there's people who've got money. Money's not the issue. It's more about the way we're presenting it, the way we come together, keeping the bitchiness at a minimum. You would have heard all the AFT races from America saying, let's keep it positive. Negativity spreads. Positivity is fucking hard to get going, So, it's just the nature of the beast. But I think we can have a professional series. I know there'll be heaps of people listening to this and I'm a dreamer, but fuck you. We will win because I love the sport. I want to see that for our kids. Why should your family sacrifice so much to get you over to another country when we can have it here? And you guys are, whether that's your end game or not, you're setting a platform to show that we can lift the professionalism of the sport. And banners, the way you're presenting it, there's going to be teething problems. Any normal person or right-minded person will realise that, and the others that don't, then we don't want them in the series. Just go and spread your negativity somewhere else,
100%.
So that is the top of my bucket list, and then having some slide schools happening here, some businesses based around track. And that's, the game people saying, oh, there's no industry. Well, these guys are making shitloads of money off suspension and engines. It's all thanks to dirt track and flat track. That is an industry. That's another side of the industry. Medics, they make money off us. Venues, maybe not. You're working with clubs. I don't know if you're paying them lots or what. I don't know how all that works out. But there's opportunities there for venues as well to make cash. I imagine, if they're running canteens and that sort of thing, they could be pocketing some good money when the crowds are getting bigger, So
absolutely,
there is an industry and we need to embrace it, work together to make it even bigger so that people can do what they love for a living. Like I've changed my life over the last 5 years. And my business has been paying for me to go around and hang out with you guys, watch people race, get frustrated, throw spanners, and it's been fucking fantastic. We've tried all sorts of stuff, videoing. I've just found that the editing side just does my head, and it's so time consuming. If I could build a team around that, I will, and hopefully that will come down the track. But as anyone that actually knows me will probably tell you, I'm not very good at sticking at one thing. Like I get distracted pretty easy, even though all the things I'm doing around dirt track, I'm doing way too many. I've got to pull it back a bit. And
It's an interesting thing you said about to add on that as well. I worked at an event. It was a motorsport event last week in Queensland here, and I forget if it's Tourism Queensland or Visit Queensland. As soon as we said about an international driver, they're like, "Oh, so someone from overseas is coming to this event?" Yeah. So can we advertise it? It's like, shit, yeah, definitely, let's do it. So they're the little things that, as it grows, and last year we had a couple of international riders. They're really good support. Those networks, whether it be Destination New South Wales, and we haven't been at that size to do it, and we're all trying to do these things. But after working at an event like last weekend and finding out, as soon as we mentioned that word to them, they're willing to participate in this. And do you want them to go in such and such and while they're in town? Yeah, that would be great. I think that's where we're going to see sort of like what the things that you're saying. That's probably going to be the next lot of avenues to open up more people seeing it. At the moment, the people that see what we do are fans. They're the people that are here. We need to go outside that a little bit and make them fans and get them to see these people. And you go and see, like the name we've mentioned a few times, you go watch Kysh and Wheel. If you're not a dirt track rider, you're just going to go, what is this all about? Like, this is amazing. Why haven't I seen this before? We need to get those people as well, outside of us who love the stuff. And I think now we're on that tipping point of hopefully more people will get to see it because of, opening that sort of door and learning more of those things. I think they're really good assets for us. Hopefully, it's no guarantees, but after working at that event last week, it was a bit of an eye-opener,
Well, I don't think my answer is going to be as long as Darcy's, but I'll give it a red-hot crack.
Oh, yeah, you were still waiting for your answer.
Yeah, I'm giving you the head start because you freaking ran away with half the show. When I was younger, I worked with Max Dunsany in the Sprint Car Series, and I loved seeing international drivers coming over and doing like the 4-driver side-by-side salute with their country flags hanging off the back. Like, it'd be awesome to see, for instance, like Tom Herrick with the Aussie flag, Drakey Drake with the New Zealand flag, Dallas Daniels with the American flag, all do a parade lap at the start to show that there's international exposure in our sport or in this country as well. I reckon that'd be fantastic. Like seeing like drivers like Max Dunsany, Sammy Swindell doing a parade lap with their country flag hanging off the back of the sprint car was just it just gave you goosebumps. Like it's even now. It was an unreal thing to see, and it was a good aspect because you're always more hyped to see the Aussies beat, you know what I mean, the rest of the world. See your countrymen do the best. So I reckon more international exposure, more international riders coming over, which I hope this year or next year or the near future we're going to have more New Zealanders, more Americans. Hopefully there'll be a couple of European riders that go, well, let's just throw a hat in the ring and go down and do it as well. I don't know how many oil tracks are over in Europe, or you know what I mean, if people have seen this type of flat track racing, if it's any different to theirs and their ideas of it or what they do or what we do as well is good or bad or whatnot. So that would be my first thing. And the second thing would be, and I've just lost my train of thought. No, I haven't. More tracks. The thing I love about dirt track is when I started racing dirt track, I normally only race at Nepean Raceway. And sometimes we go down to Canberra, went to Summersby a couple of times, but never really ventured from there. But more when I raced sidecars, I started going to Gunnedah. I never ever would have went to Griffith unless I raced with Matt Davies. So it was awesome going down there. And pretty much traveling the country to go see different tracks. Never would have went to Proserpine, even though I got a family member there. Never would have gone to Townsville. I've been there once before. I was like, never again. But we're racing there at the end of the year. So it's kind of like, Yeah, I like to see it go more places and things like that. But as well as you need the backing of the riders, you need the support
Yep.
of all the sponsors and everything as well. But yeah, mine mainly would be international riders and more
Yep.
circuits. And the more circuits thing's hard because the dirt track, flat track calendar, we're all picking out of the same pool of riders, and for everyone to
Yeah.
do everything's borderline impossible. But I think having more of a professional series in flat track will get more commitment of riders. Not saying it's better or worse than dirt track or whatever else, but there seems like there's more of a broader avenue with flat
Yep.
track in a sense where you can grow a lot more. Like I'm feel bad saying this because I feel like I'm shitting on dirt track and I'm definitely not. Like I want to see more dirt track, more long track, more flat track, more of everything. But one thing's got to sacrifice more than the other, and me wishing flat track goes further kind of hurts my sport because I race dirt track sidecars. So
Yeah.
and I don't see that being in an Australian flat track series due to the fact that it's not flat track in a sense.
Yep.
So yeah, definitely more tracks, more places to go to. I would, yeah, I'd love to do more traveling around the country and going to more events. They're going to be unreal.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that as well. And I think, this calendar is probably our boldest move yet. This is our 4th year of trying to add places to it, take
Yep.
places away to it, and add to it. Appin's been really good for us racing
Yeah, I
wise.
was feeling that you got rid of that because that's the closest one to me. I was like, damn it, it could have been any other one that freaking happened, but
where
it's
are
all
you,
right.
John? Where are you?
I'm in Sydney, Western Sydney,
Oh
so
man,
about an hour from Appin.
it would have been a good spot for you then.
Yeah,
So
my next closest one is either Albury 6 hours, Griffith's
Griffith
6 hours,
6 hours.
Gunnedah
Yep.
5.5, and it's 13.5 to Maryborough. But mate,
Yep.
I'm not shy of traveling at all. But yeah, it's good to have a home track and but
Yeah, Tom, the Victorians don't give a fuck about your sook.
oh, that's all right. Well, we
Yeah.
get 2 and you get 1, so you guys can whinge about driving
It's
8 hours.
about time. I can't wait for Aubrey. That's fantastic.
And
Yeah,
that's exactly it too, Darcy. Along the lines of like we've had, Taylor came up last year. You've come up like, man, your travel. And you've probably said it on the pod, but 2 years ago when you came up with the van when you had the issue, like man, you've
Yeah.
travelled your ass out. You've done so much for us and come to these
I've gone
events.
through 2 cars, mate, trying to
Like,
get to the
yeah,
fucking AFTN.
like you've done everything, mate. And
invoice in Darcy.
you've like
Tempting.
it's genuinely like, mate, like you've got to at the same time as grow it, you also got to reward the people that have came, and that's going to Albury, that's going to Maryborough, coming up a bit closer to Franco with their team up
Yeah.
from Townsville way, and Townsville's a great hub for dirt track as well. In the past, hopefully we can get them to
100%
come
it
to
is,
flat
yeah.
track. That
Yeah.
would be unreal. It's a little bit more in their door, but this is our boldest move yet to go to those places. Like we don't have North Brisbane this year, and we don't have Appin. They're big changes. But the 2 that we have brought on, the couple we brought on Griffith as well, are bold moves, and they're sort of. It's a little bit of a let's give something back to those others that have been coming. Like you look at Matt Davies, you've been looking at yourself, Darcy, you've been looking at all these people that are travelling from everywhere. Let's go a bit closer. Let's also open the door on some different riders, hopefully, that can come and participate because it's a bit closer. Get them to love it. And then next year, maybe we go back to the same, maybe we don't. But hopefully those ones come and grow it a bit more and with full grids for the whole classes the way through.
I'll be disappointed. Listeners that have bought products off me, I will be disappointed in Griffith and Albury area if you don't sign up. I think that's why you bought them. So I hope you bloody, even if you're a bit scared about the whole thing, just do it,
I'm
just
pumped for
sign up,
Griffith.
guys. Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to
both
Griffith.
tracks I'm really looking forward to. Aubrey TT's really
That'd be great.
shaping up. It's Aubrey's a great club, great venue. They get good crowds. I hope they do the letterbox, or you guys do the letterbox drop like as they do for speedways, and you'll have the banks chockers. So
Awesome.
I hope that happens and it really turns on up there because they do get really good crowds there. So yeah, and Griffith also. The only one time I've been to Griffith, they had an awesome crowd there. So I hope they keep that recipe. I don't know who's doing the marketing and organising of that stuff for you guys, but whoever does, I hope they listen to the host club, or if not, employ the host club to do it for them,
Yep.
and get the crowds that those tracks are capable. But both surfaces are great too. Loose oil, something
Yep.
different on the calendar, and then sand granite. I hope they. I know it would upset a lot of riders, and it's sort of part of my evil plan. But I hope they creep it deep like a fucking dirt track meeting and throw everyone in it because they haven't been there
At
before.
Albury.
Oh yeah, because it gets nice and rough, and
Oh, mate, I heard some Albury people were like, I can't ride 19s at Albury. They're these deep. And I'm like, I hope they make it twice as deep so they all turn around and go, holy shit.
Yeah, poor old Gerds, if he's listening, he struggled a bit, and
That's exactly who I was aiming that at.
I said to Brendan, is it as bad as he's saying? He said, no, he's just not used to it.
No, definitely. And
that's the great thing we're saying about a series. I'm not used to loose oil track or oil. I'm not very good on oil at all because I forget. The couple times I do it, by the end of the meeting, I go, "Oh, that's right. I'm breaking all wrong. I'm doing it all wrong. I should be doing this and rolling through." It's where in the tracks that we used to down here, the loose tracks, that they start breaking up, they get holes, and you used to being bumped around, and it's like a fucking rodeo, so you're used to that.
Gunnedah was a little. You'll know what a freaking rodeo is.
Gunnedah was the oval was a little bit like that at Gunnedah because it broke up, due to the weather and that sort of stuff. And yeah, I actually struggled on that because mainly suspension, but on a 450, no worries. Yeah,
the Gunnedah one was really interesting last year. Was just the sheer pace too, like the pace the heat, the pace, the track couldn't keep up. Like no matter what you throw at it, that pace that's there, far out. You're pulling the ground apart under brakes. Yeah. Genuinely, like there's not much you can really do. Like
Gunnedah does an absolutely amazing job on their tracks and their prep as well. Like I've ridden there, I dare say, probably more than a dozen times, and every time I'm like, I have no idea how the hell this surface is the way it is, and it's freaking phenomenal.
It's one of the ones for me. Like I love what I do with it, that I would want to ride though. It's genuinely one of the ones that I like. Oh mate, I'd love to. The track just looks so damn. Like that's me. I love oil track. I really love oil track. It's what I grew up with, and to get onto that track the way it looks Saturday morning. Oh mate, you just about like put the microphone away, let me have a ride for a few hours, please, and then we'll go do the job sort of thing. So, it'd be unreal. So
Kempsey and Tamora are on my list for oil tracks. They're the ones that I enjoyed the most that I've ridden. But another thing adding on to adding more tracks is, and obviously at the moment it wouldn't fly, but our brothers and sisters in South Australia and WA, I'd love to see some rounds go there, which is a huge ask of everyone. I understand that. Maybe that's when there's some big business on board that can help foot the bill or something.
Well, in Speedway or Speedway sidecars, they offer tow money.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Tell us about that. Tell me about that, Tom. What do you mean? Yeah. What do you mean, Tom? Can you tell me about that?
Well, I don't know exactly the ins and outs, but I have heard that some, like normally in a Speedway meeting, you'll get 16 riders or 16 sidecars. I think Australian Championships, they're seeded that way. And I'm not sure if it's a promoter or the club or Motorcycle Australia, whoever it is, offers tow money. So maybe a couple of $100 to go towards fuel or whatever else to help the riders get to their event. But I'm not 100% sure if it's for every single rider or if it's for ones that are really far away or what the circumstances are there. But that is another thing that
that's the same for solo. Yeah,
it is same for solo. Yeah. So they do offer
James
what they call it. Yeah, what
James
they call
Davies touched on that. Yeah, show up money or tow up.
That's right. Show up money. I know you do it for 100 riders, like it's what I mean.
I actually think some of them are
riders. You're looking at 10K, like.
Some of them are a fair amount now. $1,200 rings a bell for tune-up money for one rider I know. But
geez, that'd be all right. I'll rock up for that.
Yeah, and
Me too.
that shit spurs me on because if it's happening in speedway, why can't it happen in dirt track, flat track? Or
Yeah.
let's call it flat track. It makes it simpler
Yeah.
in Australia. So yeah, why can't it happen in flat track? There's no
Well,
reason.
if you're doing it in
It's up to
speedway and you're
us to
doing it
make
for
it happen.
if you're doing it in speedway, you're doing it for the 16 riders that show up for the event or qualify for the event, because the Australian titles, I think the top 8 in speedway go through, well, from the previous year go through,
Yep.
or
Sorry,
the
mate, I
state
got to
title
take
winners
this
go
one.
through, and that's how it's seated like that. So if you give $100 per rider and it's only 16 riders, well, you're only looking at $1,600. But if you've got 100 riders, well, then you're looking at a hell of a lot more than that. Even if it's $200-300 per rider to pay
Yep.
for the fuel there and back, it covers sort of I'd say maybe half or majority of their fuel. So
Yep.
I know that's really difficult to do. But if we did venture to places like South Australia or Northern Territory or Western Australia, you're looking at a hefty fuel bill
Geez, yeah.
plus mechanics. Like I know Matt pays his mechanic and all that to come racing with us and all that too. So he's got to take that into account, as well as all the cost of tyres and everything else too. But yeah, I just, like I said, more tracks the better. And I've been over to Perth Motorplex once for a supermoto event, and I thought it was freaking fantastic. But for 2.5 days there, 2.5 days back, I vouched to never do it again.
Yeah.
But if AFTN went to Perth and they said, well, the finale is going to be there, and I'd be saying to Matt, look, mate, book me a ticket. I'll meet you at the airport.
Yep.
But yeah, I'd definitely go. Other than this year, I've only ever gone to AFTN as a spectator and helped out Davies Motorcycles as I race with Matt. So, and I went to Brisbane last year and Gunnedah and all the other rounds and all that as well. So it's not to say that I wouldn't go and wouldn't travel there, but it'd be very difficult to get riders in, say, Pro 450B or lower ranks to make that kind of effort to get all the way over. But then again, if they did do it and a couple of the front runners didn't do it, well, then they've got the upper hand in points at the end of it to do
incentive. There's incentive there, and
yeah,
even just on our side of it too, Tom, like the sheer the logistics, just to break it down, the logistics of Griffith. If you look at the costings of going to somewhere like that compared to a Brisbane, for instance, or a Sydney. We've got our groups in Sydney. I live in Brisbane. Everyone stays at my house when we're here. It's a central point. Griffith, like, we're all travelling. You got Stuart, Scrutineer, Clark, of course, 3 media people, myself, Dave. It's I can only imagine how much organisation and just trying to get for, say, Perth or South Oz would be just on that side of it.
Yeah.
I don't know what their flat track scene's like over there, or dirt track, whatever you want to call it over in WA, but yeah, far out. Like, yeah. It's so much.
One venue at the moment, Pinjar Park, is where they're doing their flat track class, and they run in conjunction with Speedway.
Yeah, the president, was it the president we put on, was it?
Was that WA?
Sorry, Ian was just help. Actually, he was at one stage, but he's helping out. Just helping the club run stuff. But yeah, actually, Ben Grabbin's racing there. Is it
that's right. He is too. Yeah,
next weekend. So that's great to see him go over there and put on a show, which he definitely will. So, awesome race event. So, so I don't know how he got onto that. I hope it was an influence from the podcast, but I don't know how I dare say a contact. Yeah, dare say a contact he has over that way. But yeah, that's great to see. It's a trip that I'd love to go and check it out over there. It's got some passionate people over there. Some passionate people in South Australia as well. Gilmore Speedway, they have a flat track class. I'm pretty sure most of the guys run 21:18, but it's still, they're introducing it, and that is a way, as we've seen with New Zealand, to help each other. So the Speedway clubs see that, flat track is very close to their discipline, actually closer than dirt track, as in, you can start at tapes, staggered staggered starts, all that sort of stuff too. And it works on their surface. So the 19s work really well in conjunction with speedway bikes because we don't rip them up near as much as a 2118. I've suggested that to a couple clubs. So one in Tasmania that hopefully we're going to go over and do some demos and show them exactly how good senior bikes set up as 19s can perform on a speedway. They were actually surprised because they thought their tracks weren't big enough, so I sent them a whole lot of shit about American flat track, stuff from here. Yep. Scotty Wilkins from New Zealand even piped up and said, we race on speedway tracks here in New Zealand. And next minute I'm getting a phone call from them saying, yeah, actually we would be interested in that because, it helps prop their numbers up and helps them achieve stuff as well. So, fantastic to see that sort of stuff happening, that sort of cooperation and work happening. And there is a long track in South Australia as well that they're trying to get back up and going. I've had a couple of phone calls about that as well, and I'm still hoping to go down there and do a demo. And that's a 10-hour, not a demo, just a trial and let them see what that does to the tracks and that sort of stuff. And because those clubs, they're really small and they need propping up as well. And if we can prop them up with dirt bikes, that just gives us more venues to race at as well in the future. So, and hopefully, grow their sport too, because a lot of the times I've seen quite a few dirt track riders, Australian dirt track riders, go onto long track bikes and absolutely love it. And then, so there's a boom in that as well for the guys that are interested in spending more money. It's not me. I've got enough dirt bikes.
Me too.
I would love to, and plus, Catherine really doesn't want me doing that stuff. So, South Australia, you got Gilmore, you got Mud and Tars, and you got the long track, which the name's escaping me at the moment. What am I calling it?
Gilman, not Gilman. Gilman.
Gilman.
You think of the Gilmore Girls?
Probably.
You're just going to get every South Australian smacking you in the head when they say it.
They're still hot 40 years later. Gilman. It's because I'm thinking of what's the one in Tasmania, Moorland. I think I'm thinking of that at the same time. So tracks in South Australia for sure.
I think is there three tracks?
Don't forget all
in
the
South
ones
Australia?
in Victoria. Yeah.
Is it? I think there's three.
Yeah.
There's Murray Bridge, Gilman, and Mount Gambier. Is that?
That's a car track.
Oh,
Mount
it is.
Gambier.
Well, there's nothing. You can't. You can't do flat track on a car track.
Well, depend. I'm not going to go there, Tom.
Oh well. Hey, the Yanks do it. I've been.
It depends what organisation you're with. We
Australian
will be.
Flat track
You might not be. You might not be in the AFTN, but hopefully we will be in the RSA. Yeah.
Oh man, it's some of those tracks that you look at and go, gee, that would be pretty fun.
Oh yeah, some of the bank car tracks. We'd love to see them happening. That actually is another dream of mine, Mick. I should have had that on my bucket list. Getting some car tracks up and running. I do understand the difficulties of it. I actually am dealings with a couple at the moment and locally close to me. And hopefully we'll have that over the line soon. So
that'd be cool.
We did do that. It was about.
Remember the Parramatta one?
Yeah, it was about 15 years ago now. I did both of them. That wasn't too bad, but we could only run 2118s on there. And I think Marty McNamara chucked a set of 19s on and they went, nah, you got to run these tyres so everyone's on the same thing. And it actually worked quite well. Like even 2118 on a clay track actually worked all right. It was just how smooth you could be. You could see the riders that just had the ass hanging out of it on top of the cushion trying to find the drive. But I don't. Well, they do it in America. Look at Knoxville. Look at half the tracks there are clay half-mile tracks.
Yeah, most of them.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like Sydney Speedway. Like
and
that should have had
Speedway
on it in itself. So who just they can't have dirt track on it?
Yeah, in saying that, I don't really want to see Australia totally mimicking America. I think with our own identity, and the same with New Zealand, we're our own identities. But tighter sports together, and by keeping it uniquely Australian, by not just turning into. I mean, that could be very boring too, turning it into just all car tracks. I mean,
Oh,
who wants
definitely.
that? No one wants that. So,
Well, the
you know, it's a
FIM
draw.
flat track is just all speedway tracks, pretty much. Like I know they're going to try and
Yeah,
ask for
yeah,
it, but I'm sorry, but I
yeah,
think most of those are all speedway tracks, and the racing's
yeah.
just as good. Like I think if we could try and get on one car track, maybe the Yanks might go, well, hold on a sec. We might go real good at this because this is our
Yeah, that's
bread
right.
and
That's
butter.
right.
Like
It will just
it's just
help
more
entice.
enticing other
Yeah.
people, like more riders to hit the track.
As a visual, like my job 9 to 5 is a visual thing on media, video. As a visual thing, the speedway tracks are unreal. Like like a Western Springs, like in New Zealand, for
Yes.
instance.
Oh
Or
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
man, it is. If you have one at something like that is such a visually pleasing experience for people that come to an event.
And what I'm curious, your opinion. Why do you think that is?
Heritage, legacy, history. I
Yeah.
think it
Yeah, right.
still brings it back.
Mm.
We did a coaching day with Jack Miller, Max Whale, and Billy Van Erd in Victoria just before MotoGP 2 years ago. Kids coaching
Oh
day.
yeah, that KDM one, wasn't it?
The KDM one.
Yeah, I'm with
On
you.
the car track.
And that was on the car track. And walking into the complex, seeing the old signs, seeing the way it was done, you just go, far out. This would be amazing to have a bike meeting here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
it's purely just history. Like you just go into any of those sprint car speedway tracks or anything. They've got a feel about them. They're unreal, you know. But they're not perfect for motorcycling, sadly. But hey, nothing ever is perfect. But geez, they're pretty cool to have visually, anyway. You know.
Especially Western Springs. I went over there for a couple of years for the World Speedway Grand Prix.
Same. Yep.
Just everything pitched up, looking down into the track.
Yep.
Like watching Darcy Ward, mate, he wouldn't have ridden the wall. He almost rode the third row up to go around the outside of the whole field. And just the roar that happened there was it was phenomenal. But I think the aspect of sitting up and looking down on it,
yes,
there's a lot better than being eye level or just like the stadium atmosphere and aspect of it. That's ideal.
So that's what I reckon car tracks bring. And even like Undera, which is a speedway, has got a speedway specific track, is the proximity of the crowd to the racing and the view you get. You know, you actually get sucked into the racing because you're right there. You know, as well with some of our bigger dirt tracks, you can be. That was. I love Appen. I love Greg. Love everything that was happening there, but I just feel like a little bit too far away with the viewing. And I love the safety. It saved my ass at one stage to run off when I went off that first turn the wrong way. You know, and is necessary. Those car tracks can be a bit more dangerous with the wall like that, especially with inexperienced riders. Yeah, the viewing for a crowd perspective and building crowd, I think you're on a winner. Like if you can run some of them, and that's one of the things Aubrey has. So their Skylift series, I don't know how familiar with that. They bring in the airbag, and it's a speedway circuit, and that's one of the major things about that is that the banks just fill up, and you can see everything. You know. And of course, car tracks, a lot of them come with light. So under lights, you're never going to beat the feel of nighttime racing. I don't care how good your day meeting is ran. There's just something about the smell of hot dogs, lights, and moths. I don't know what it is. It's
I like it.
Just a thing.
The only thing in night racing is when the dust kicks up. The only thing in night racing when the dust kicks up and the light hits it, you can't see shit.
I
remember that.
That's usually not that big a problem, dust at night though, because the water comes up and depending on the venue. I have been a couple sprint car ones. Actually, Mount Gambier when I was there at the sprint car Easter Trail. That happened on the very last race, but I mean that was like bloody 600 laps. It was that race. I never thought it was going to end.
Well, that was the same at Bathurst. The last year Bathurst ran. I think it was 3 laps into it, and I looked up at Matt and was like, "Mate, I hope you can see because I can't see shit." And I ripped all the teros off. I actually had to fold my goggles down to be able to see exactly when I needed to get out or move.
What do you need to see for?
What do I need to see? Because if I don't get out when it hits the corner, guess where we upend it? We're up in
I thought you
Yeah.
I just thought you leaned your fat ass over the wheel the whole time.
Well, if I did that going down the straight, we'd turn left in the infield and headbutt one of you knuckleheads. That's what we'd be doing. Yeah.
So let's get back into the AFTN. Griffith, slightly different running order than all the others. Can you shed any light on that?
Yeah, obviously it's a Saturday night time. Basically spectacle. Let's create a spectacle. Let's have something totally different to what we've done for the rest of the time. Bring it to Griffith. It's a good town for good town for racing, good town for motorcycles, and country New South Wales, country Victoria for that matter as well, are really good for motorcycling. They're good motorcycle towns. So coming under lights, create the spectacle of that. Have our women's final there. That's a big thing. We want, it's not our first year doing that, but we hopefully having under lights and that creates it also a bit more of a spectacle for that. We don't have the category at Gunnedah because that goes back to Pro 450. That round really is about crowning the championship of the series, someone that's attended the whole series, Pro 450, which is. But yeah, when we go to Griffith, women under lights is going to be a bit of a spectacle for that, and trying to bring some sort of middle ground as well, because we've been up to Maryborough, like I mentioned at the start, and then we come back down to Griffith. Hopefully we get some of the other riders that may not have attended Maryborough can come up to there or down to there and participate there and get some good racing. And far out, like we just said, all of us just said, the under lights, it's really hard to beat. So that's the basics of that round. Rest of the classes obviously going to be there, but women's is one of the main things that we've decided to put there, purely because it is a bit of a spectacle event.
And so what track are you running? Is it got an oval? Is it just the TT, or how's it running?
I haven't seen new subregs for that. I haven't seen the regulations for how they're going to run Griffith, and I've never been.
Okay.
I haven't physically been there myself, so
right.
I will be relying on someone else to tell me about Griffith at the moment. So, I don't actually know yet. So,
all right.
As far as I know, and as far as I'd gathered, they're going to run the dirt track, kidney bean style for the first round, and then they'll run the TT as the second round. So they don't have an oval track per se, but I think they'll just run dirt track TT. Is what I gathered. Yeah, I don't. No. So
did you get that from the goods?
No, I got that from my own observation of the venue. So yeah, I'm sticking with that.
All right. Let's hope you're not wrong, because you're gonna get your ass busted if you are.
Oh, that's all right. Bring it on. Bring them all on. Bust it wide open. Go on. I want it all.
Yeah, check out the subregs. Yeah, check out the subregs, guys. For the answer on that one. That's all right.
Yep.
And then Aubrey, we know there's a TT. And are they running the kidney bean as well? Do you know? Or is it the same answer? Check out the subs.
Same answer for me under that one, because I physically haven't been there yet to do a track obs, and I don't have it in any of my details here. So new SUP regs will be out, which will give us some track information once the V2 of the SUP regs come through.
All right. So we are getting a bit long in the tooth now. I've got to go to work. That's why I had to run off, because they were ringing me up. But anyway, we will ask you this last question. What is on your sheet that we haven't asked you?
Control tyre.
Oh, right. Yeah, well, we all think that's cool, so we don't need to ask you about
that. We weren't going to knock you on that one, I reckon.
Yeah, no, I've had lots of discussions with people, and everyone seems pretty happy with that decision. Yes. It does make sense. The only thing that and I've mentioned it somewhere, it was probably on the podcast, is that I'd like to see other brands have opportunity to maybe offer up a control tyre for one of the other classes or something. I don't know how that would work, but something like that. and that's only because I'm in the business and I don't like to see monopolies on anything. But at the end of the day, too, it's a business, and if Dunlop are putting up a deal that you're happy with and
Yep.
helps move the series forward, all up for it, and it does bring the cost down in some ways for the races.
And I'll add to that too, Darcy. We're on the same page with that as well. We have got it for Pro 450, but all the other classes are an open tyre rule, and it does stop monopoly for one thing, and it also makes it like it'd be great to have, Hoosier, Midas, Maxxis, whoever it may be, V-Rubber, Pirelli, whatever tyre can come into the market, and cater for it, especially at some point, because traditionally every company, every race series globally, control tyre, something happens along the way, 2 years in, 3 years in, you got to have them all sort of sitting there and still being used and learning. Hopefully, clubman riders are coming through, trying all the different things. They get to a point where they go, hey, we really like Dunlop. When we step up the Pro 450, they've got it. You need to be able to try all the tyres. You can't just we can't dictate that, hey, junior 85s, pro, all the classes need to run it. It just doesn't work like that. So Pro 450, that is the mainstay. It needs to be on the control, and it was more so pushed by people than what it was pulled from us. It will reduce the costs in a lot of capacities. It mightn't for everyone, but we go to Appen, and I think you guys both would have seen it. There's 3 or 4 different tyres getting used on Saturday morning at Appen. There won't be any more. The fact of the matter is everyone's going to be on the same in Pro 450. It mightn't work for you, but sorry, but shit happens. Everyone's on the same thing.
You've got no
excuses at that point.
No excuses. Yep. You're on the same tyre.
And it does reduce the cost.
Like you said, with different circuits, it's great.
It's good, and hopefully it's a cost reduction, because I think everyone's on the same boat. Like, motorcycling costs a lot. You'll put into it whatever you can. All of us will. But if you can sort a little bit of cost out and make it like that, good. That's a fantastic thing.
They've got a great lifespan too. All those brands actually have a great lifespan. Maxxis and Dunlops are the best in my opinion, but they all wear pretty well compared to, if we're going to throw the Michelin in there, compared to that, kill it.
100%.
But anyway, I believe there is a compound, so you're restricted to a compound. Is that right?
Yeah, there will be there is a compound. It's homologated tyre, which is going to be the DT4 tyre, front and rear. That will be the homologated tyre. It hasn't been released yet, but there will be tyre order forms available, stockers, all the details for that. So July 26th is our race meeting. So expect that in the next four odd weeks for the details of where the homologated tyres will be available. But DTR4, DTR4 was an old one. DT4 will be the tyre that everyone will be on.
And I think there's 3 compounds of that. Do you have to run like a 3, 5, 7, or you can use any compound?
Don't know that yet. Don't know that yet. Sorry.
Yeah, if it's in the sub-reg, then everyone will know exactly what tyre
but the DT4 front and rear will be the homologated tyre. I'm not sure about compound or anything, but DT-4 is the tyre.
Okay.
No, that's cool. And do you have any information on cost?
No, definitely not. That's still TBA.
But cheaper than if you buy it normally.
Yeah, cheaper than what it's been. And the supply, there's a new shipment about to arrive very soon. This isn't on paperwork. There's a new shipment that's about to arrive very soon, and the costings will be fairer for everyone, and there should be a good amount of stock. So it's not something where you have to stress about. Don't wait till race week to do your homologated tyre order, but there will be good supplies of tyre. We've been guaranteed on those.
Yeah, awesome. So if you are racing AFTN, don't stress. It's coming. Save your pennies. Don't go out buying them just yet.
Yep.
By the time this comes out, you're probably 3 weeks before you get that info. Maybe 2. No, it should be. It should take me less than a week to get it done.
Awesome.
What else do we have? I actually think that's probably about it, mate.
Yeah, I apologise I couldn't answer a couple of those other middle questions on it, mate. Like
That's
they
all
are
right. You're
fresh
more
things.
than welcome to come back on and answer them.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, anytime
Yeah.
you want.
Yeah, I'm definitely happy to. And same if it's mid-season and you want some updates or you want anything that's how'd this go? How was this? It's transparency. If you've got a question that is a bit sticky, happy to answer it if I can. You know.
Yeah, awesome.
Well,
Yeah,
we might get you back on
awesome.
maybe after the second venue and see what your thoughts are and everything on it as well. And yeah, we could go back and forwards with that. I reckon it'd be good.
Yeah, we
Sounds
do.
good, Tom.
We do recaps of each one and stuff anyway. So
Yep.
yeah, we'll get you on during the season and pick your brain, see what you're thinking. You've probably got a better memory than we do because Tom drinks too much and I'm just dumb. So
Hey, man, I haven't been on the piss in ages. Jesus Christ, you got no excuse.
yeah. So and as you can tell, we're pretty light-hearted about it all.
Good.
We like having fun, and hopefully it's entertaining, and we helping build the momentum for AFTN as well. So thanks so much for coming on. Thanks to everyone listening, and you, Tom, for joining us as well. And your important Saturday. I know it's probably a dozen girls or so you're leading down or whatever. But
but I've got about 40 minutes to get my ass into gear and get where I need to get. So
righto. Yeah. So we'll wrap this one up. So thanks everyone for listening. You know what to do. Keep it sideways. Go flat tracker. Flag that flog. Oh Jesus, I've tripped that one up. Flog
the most
that like
important
button.
saying, and you get it wrong. Flog that like button.
And we'll catch you next time. Go flat tracker.
Go flat tracker. Go flat tracker. Go, go, go.